In Israel, corruption reigned under King Ahab and the ruthless Queen Jezebel, whose dark influence and manipulation led the nation deep into idolatry and moral decay, provoking the anger of the Lord against the house of Ahab. During this troubled era lived Jehu, a fierce and loyal commander in Israel's army, a man of courage and intensity who would be chosen as the instrument of divine judgment to end that corruption and fulfill a prophetic mission. One day, as Jehu met with fellow officers, a messenger sent by the prophet Elisha privately anointed him with oil and declared that the Lord had appointed him king over Israel, commanding him to destroy the house of Ahab and avenge the blood of the prophets slain by Jezebel. Stunned yet resolute, Jehu accepted the calling, and when his companions learned of the prophecy, they immediately proclaimed him king, sensing that God's hand was upon him. Without delay, Jehu mounted his chariot and rode furiously toward Jezreel, where King Joram, son of Ahab, was recovering from battle wounds. As Jehu approached, watchmen saw the dust of his chariot and recognized his reckless, relentless driving. And when Joram rode out to meet him, asking if he came in peace, Jehu thundered that there could be no peace while Jezebel's witchcraft and idolatry persisted, then drew his bow and struck Joram through the heart, initiating a swift and uncompromising purge. Yet Jezebel still remained, and when Jehu entered Jezreel, she defiantly adorned herself and mocked him from a palace window. But at his command, her own attendants threw her down, fulfilling Elijah's prophecy as dogs devoured her body, leaving only skull, feet, and hands. Thus ended the reign of the infamous queen who had corrupted Israel. Jehu then turned his attention to Ahab's 70 sons in Samaria, challenging the city's leaders to defend them if they dared. But terrified by his decisive power, they beheaded the princes and sent their heads to Jezreel, where Jehu displayed them publicly to demonstrate that not a word of the Lord had failed. Continuing his mission, Jehu allied himself with Jehonadab, son of Rechab, inviting him to witness his zeal for the Lord, and together they eradicated the remaining supporters of Ahab. However, one final stronghold persisted, the widespread worship of Baal introduced by Jezebel. Employing cunning strategy, Jehu announced a grand sacrifice to Baal, deceiving the priests and worshippers into gathering within the temple at Samaria, then stationed guards to prevent escape and ordered the slaughter of every priest, demolishing the temple and turning it into a latrine, symbolizing total desecration of Baal worship and fulfilling his charge to cleanse Israel of that corruption. For his obedience, the Lord promised that 4 generations of Jehu's descendants would sit upon Israel's throne. Yet despite his dramatic reforms, Jehu failed to remove the golden calves at Bethel and Dan, relics of earlier compromise. And though he destroyed overt idolatry, he did not fully restore the nation's heart to the Lord. Over his 28-year reign, his initial zeal slowly waned. Pride and complacency crept in, and instead of heeding prophetic counsel, he surrounded himself with advisors who praised his past victories while ignoring his spiritual shortcomings. As his strength declined and illness overtook him, Jehu reflected upon the triumphs and the compromises that marked his rule, recognizing that while he had executed judgment boldly, he had not completed the deeper work of wholehearted devotion. When he died and was buried in Samaria, the nation remembered him as a warrior king of intense zeal who shattered the house of Ahab and executed divine justice, yet whose legacy stood as both inspiration and warning, a reminder that decisive action against evil must be matched by enduring faithfulness, humility, and obedience. For reform without wholehearted surrender leaves room for future decline, and true restoration requires not only destroying idols, but removing them from the heart.
Hear me, people of Samaria, a all who has to battle and witness this sacred rite. reigneth in wisdom and strength. All glory to the King.